Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Bright. If you don't know me, today we are going to be discussing about the millennium or 1000 years. What is the 1000 years? When is that period going to be executed? What's going to happen through the 1000 years period? Let's take note that 1000 years we find it on Revelation chapter 20, but if we go back to Revelation chapter 19, it tells us about the marriage supper and the coming of Christ. So on Revelation chapter 19 we have the coming of Christ. Christ is coming on Revelation chapter 19. So on Revelation chapter 20, it's after the coming of Christ. So if we can take note that it's after the coming of Christ, then we will know that the period is after the second coming of Christ. So let's go to Revelation chapter 20 and read verse 1 and 2. It says, "Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years." First of all, let's take note at where the bottomless pit. Here the keys of the bottomless pit. If we go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, it tells us about the earth was without form and void. In Genesis, the book of Genesis is written in Hebrew, but the word that is used, without form and void, is the same word that we see in Revelation when it says the bottomless pit. It simply means that the earth was in a state of confusion. If you go to Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 23, it says, "I beheld the earth, and indeed it was without form and void." Jeremiah is telling us also that he prophesied and he beheld the earth and it was without form and void, meaning to say that the earth is going to return partially to a state whereby it was before the creation. Like it is actually like a state of confusion. That's where it's going to return to. So if the earth is going to return to a state of confusion on Revelation chapter 20, then we know that it's after the coming of Christ. Then there will be a state of confusion on the earth where there is nothing. Like when there is nothing, the devil doesn't have anyone to deceive. Also, it says that on verse 2, "He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Says, and bound him for 1,000 years. So the question comes, can you bound a spiritual being with physical chains? No. Satan is a spiritual being. You can't bound him using physical chains. So you need to bound a spiritual being spiritually. How do you bound a spiritual being spiritually? Satan, his agenda on this earth is to go around and deceive people. So let's take note that at the second coming of Christ, Christ is going to take the saints and the unrighteousness are going to die, meaning to say that there will be no one to deceive for the devil on this earth. When there is no one to deceive, the devil will be roaming around the earth without anyone to deceive. That means he will be in a state of, like he will be in a state in chains, because he can't deceive anyone. He can't do anything. That's where you will notice that that's where you will notice that how his works has led to him being punished and how his works has led to other people dying also. So because he won't have people to deceive and people to show his miracles, he will be alone with his evil angels. So he will be in a state of confusion also, because he doesn't have anyone to deceive. And also at that event, we noticed that when we were studying about the heavenly about the Hebrew sanctuary also, and the Day of Atonement in particular, we noticed that there is a time that the high priest went to the goat Azazel, the sin offering, and he put his hands on the goat, and then they have to take the goat and go with it to a far wilderness, an uninhabited place, right? Now the events takes place on the Revelation chapter 20. Now the events are taking place, are foreshadowed in the last solemn services of the Day of Atonement. The events that happened on the Day of Atonement is exactly what's going to happen on Revelation chapter 20. The devil has been bound and he is in a wilderness whereby no man is inhabiting that place. So the devil will be on the earth whereby no one is inhabiting the earth. Also, we'll take note that what will the saints be doing on earth? What will the saints be doing on heaven on the day of or during the 1000 years period? Like if we can notice that during the 1000 years period, there is going to be judgment in heaven. Like Paul puts Paul says it unto us on 1 Corinthians chapter 4. On 1 Corinthians, let's read chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2. It says, do you not know that the saints will judge the world? And if the world will be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? And on chapter 6 of 1 Corinthians, Paul is warning the people of the Corinthians that don't you know that the saints are going to judge the world? So it means that the saints, we are going to judge the world. How are we going to judge the world? After the execution of the first judgment that is happening now with Christ in the most holy place, the saints are going to be taken and the saints are going to heaven. And we are going to confirm that the judgment of Jesus is righteous and just. We are going to confirm that truly your judgment is righteous and just. We are going to see, we are going to notice why other people are not going to make it to heaven. That's how we are going to judge it. So during the period of 1,000 years, we'll be doing a lot of things, but we will be judging also to see, but there was that brother that we used to attend to church with, that we used to attend meetings with, that we used to witness about Christ with. Why is he not in heaven? So we will be shown how the brother was doing behind closed doors. So that's another kind of judgment that we will be doing on during the 1,000 years period. And also after the 1,000 years period, it says that there is going to be Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem. The new Jerusalem is going to come down. So let's take note that the saints are going to judge, or the saints are going to heaven with Christ for 1,000 years. And after that, the saints are going to come down also and they're going to come down from heaven for 1,000 years. So that's basically, that's what the 1,000 years period is for. So let's take note also on Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12. It says that, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Actually, the prophet Isaiah was foreseeing how the devil is going to be useless during the period of the 1,000 years. Because it says, for you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. And verse 15 says, yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. Isaiah prophesying about that very same period of 1,000 years says that he was looking at the devil saying, how art thou fallen from heaven? Lucifer, son of the morning, for you were exalting yourself. You were exalting yourself, saying that you go up, you ascend to the throne of God. So how is it that you have fallen? So Isaiah also prophesied about that time, saying that the devil is going to be reduced to nothing. He's going to be nothing, because he will be stripped his powers, because he can't deceive anyone. So basically, during the 1,000 year period, the saints are going to judge the earth. We are going to judge people. We are going to judge even the angels. According to the book of Jude, it tells us that we are going to judge the angels. So let's take note that we are going to judge the angels. Let's not be despaired about what's happening on this earth. Our time is coming whereby we are going to heaven and we are going to judge, and we are going for 1,000 years with Christ. And the devil, there will be a time whereby he won't have anyone to deceive. So let's not allow the devil to deceive us these days, to deceive at this time, because there will be a time whereby he will be useless. There will be a time where Christ is going to conquer. So I just hope that you guys enjoyed about the 1,000 years. If you have any comments, any questions, please write them down in the question section below. And please guys, subscribe and like the video. Thank you. See you next time.